Hey there, and welcome to another guitar session with Jason Carey. I'm Jason Carey, and we are playing guitar live right now on Wednesday night. It's Wednesday at 9 p.m. and tonight we're talking about "Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles. And so, actually, I think it's maybe a George Harrison song. And it just got such a really cool guitar line. The chords that I was using for the opening of this guitar session are actually the same chords that he used while he was writing that song in one of Eric Clapton's old country homes. You know, "Here Comes the Sun" is just a beautiful song, isn't it? And it has a D chord in it, and an A and a G, and a bunch of other cool things. But you can see that at the introduction of this guitar session, there's all kinds of other options, all kinds of stuff you can do with the D chord, the G chord, and the A chord. So what we'll do is welcome you to the live stream. If you have any questions, please go ahead and type those questions into the live chat, and we'll do our best to grow this audience over time. I have to make a little disclaimer that I may say some words that you don't understand right away. I have this dust on my hand. I may say I may use this language that you don't understand all the time, and it may be just that I've been speaking this language for certainly all of my adult life, and it may be that as soon as the more we speak the language together, the more common it will be between us. So I'm just going to keep speaking the language. If there are words that you don't know or you have questions about, just don't hesitate to stop me. And right in that live chat, I have a moderator here. We have she is now our new our guest manager tonight. And so I'm so fortunate, and aren't we all fortunate, to have good people in our lives who will help us do the things that we like to do. That's the most important thing, I think. That's one of the most important things. So we want to be sure and practice gratitude where it belongs. So thank you, Aaron at Studio Carey. I know he's watching tonight. He was unable to attend. And I know my guest moderator, her name is Catherine, and she does such a great job transferring and relaying information to me. So, what does that say? Read it out loud.
This is a wonderful tune. I'm already amazed.
Oh, good. All right. So, without further ado, we just want to practice gratitude where it's due. Okay? So now...
Thank you for the disclaimer.
Thank you for the disclaimer. You are more than welcome. So, let's tune up. Let's do a quick standard tuning. I know that we talked about shortening up these live sessions so that... they're not quite so long, but you might have a moment now if you wanted to talk to a friend and get that friend on the horn and say, "Hey, dude, we're learning tonight. We're going to learn a little bit of "Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles." So hop right on, and here it is, YouTube Live, Jason Livestream, whatever it is, and then get them there. It'd be great. We'd love to have the extra company. But for now, we're just going to keep tuning the guitar because I'm not sure if you all arrive in tune or not. We move from the E string to the A string, and then to the D string, and the G, and hopefully we're all in tune. Then the B, and the high E. Once again, it's not the most important thing probably, but it's a very important part of practicing the guitar. Starting with a warm-up, so we'll go all the way up to position number 9, and we'll be sure to transition into our learning session here. We have to have a learning environment. Sorry?
Eddie, are you here?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And so we're using fingers 1, 2, and 3, 4. And it's no surprise, but this is really you know, the only way to sort of shed our busy lives and just sort of mentally prepare for what's to come. And we have a lot of work to do tonight, so we won't probably, I know it's probably a bad habit to teach you that we're not going to go all the way down to fret 1, but really what I do every time I practice is I'll do this descending pattern all the way until I get to position number 1 every single time, and then I ascend all the way back up to position 9 and end or finish the exercise where I started. And that should take a couple of minutes, you know, once you get really sort of experienced at it. You know, you could expect it to take 10 minutes if you wanted to take your time and really practice measuring your right hand's pick. Now, how far through the string are we going? Are we going only halfway to the next string or what? So these are important moments to master the guitar. And what a great thing to do in this modern world, to build this skill. Okay, we would normally continue all the way back down to position number 1. It will look like this. Yeah, I kind of feel like Tal Farlow. I used to listen to Tal Farlow an awful lot, and I think his mind worked, I'm not sure if his mind worked faster than his fingers could keep up or what. But that guy had some really great guitar lines. But I feel like I'm not sort of warmed up fully now. And you probably benefited from watching me do that somehow. Just go through those motions every time you pick up the guitar. That's a good thing to do. So you probably have already downloaded the sheet music. Is the sheet music been posted up to the live chat? We've run into situations where the bit.ly link does not work. Does it look like it posted? Okay, good. Anybody want to go ahead and grab that free sheet music for the introduction part of Here Comes the Sun? Go ahead and do so now. We already talked about the warm-up, and then what we really need to do is talk about the chord patterns. So the chord patterns are going to consist of a D chord.
Getting confirmation it's working.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We've got a D chord, a D sus2, a G and a G5, a G add 6, and then a G major 7, and then an A7, an A9, an A7 sus4, and an E7. So we've got a bunch of chords to sort of work through, even though we're only doing the introduction today. So now that we're in tune and we're ready to do this, we're going to hop right up to capo. I hope you brought a capo today. Capo is an important part of this guitar session, but not essential. If someone watching happens to not have a capo, we could do this without a capo. But if you have a capo, we'll just carry on. Okay, I'll give it about 15 seconds before I start. Placing the capo on the guitar is a really important part of, accurately is a really important part of playing the guitar in tune. And not over tightening the capo also is one of the secrets. Okay, we're good. So we'll go ahead and start out with the chord patterns. We have all the chord patterns that we need to know on the download. Okay, so hopefully you get that bit link, and we're using that. We're going to start with the open D chord on capo 7, and you can already hear the sun coming. Okay, here it comes. So we've got that open D string, fret 2 on the G, fret 3 on the B, and fret 2 on the high E string. And what we normally do is arpeggiate each chord one note at a time, and then strum. If we find a note that doesn't work right, then we can usually apply just a little bit more pressure with that one finger, and then get it moving. Then we can apply the strum. So the D sus2 is the same thing as the D, but without the second finger. So you can save that second finger, the person in the front row or whatever. So we get that open D, and I like to try to keep my fingers up here ready and over the fretboard, so that way they're ready when they get called upon. Okay. So we get that D sus2 with the open high E string on the top. Same thing as the D chord. Then we're moving over to the G, and you could use fret 2 on the A. For now, we're going to use nothing on the top 3 strings because we have other fingers coming to plug those gaps. Okay, so we have that. So 3rd fret, 2, 3 on the low E string.
Different ding.
Different ding. What do you mean?
Aaron says
Oh, we have a question here.
different ding.
Oh, let's elaborate on that.
Song.
Okay, so here we go. A7. Okay, before the A7, we've got to do the G5. So the G5 is the same thing as the G chord, pretty much, but with the 3rd finger plugged onto the 3rd fret on the B string. All right, and so now we're moving on from that G5, which is a really nice, super clean sound, to G add 6. So now what we do is basically add that open high E string. Then we'll go ahead and keep that 3rd finger where it is, move it down to fret 2, and then pop that 2nd finger up to fret 2 on the D string. And then we have the open A, fret 2 on the D, open G, fret 2 on the B, open high E, which is the A7 chord. We don't really need to play the high E on this chord, on this tune for this chord. The next one is A9. It's the same exact fingering as the A7, but we'll just remove that 3rd finger, open up the old B string. Okay, pop that open B string in there. Open, fret 2, open G, and then open B. Really nice sound. A7 sus4 is also, it's very similar in the way that the 2nd finger still is there, and the open A string is still on the bottom and present as the root note, the circled note. But this time we'll add the 4th finger on the B string. And these chords are all very powerful sounds. Okay, so each one, even though they're very similar to the other ones, they're all different, very different. Then we have the G major 7, which is finger 2 on fret 3 on the low E string. After these 2 chords, I'm going to check in about questions just for a moment. So on the low E string we have fret number 3, choke the A string. This is the G7 chord, G major 7 chord now. Open D, open G, fret 3 on the B string, and then fret number 2 on the high E string. Then we have one more chord, it's the E7. 3rd finger stays right where it is, and fingers 2 and 1 sort of fall into place here. Open low E string, fret 2 on the A, open D, finger 1 on fret number 1 on the G string, and then finger 3 on fret 3 on the B, And that's pretty much it, E7. I know we sort of cruised. If we're not familiar with these chords, we are just cruising through this stuff. So don't hesitate. Usually what we do is I might spend a whole lesson just covering, like a half an hour lesson to just properly cover each chord. And then you'd go off for a week, and then you'd work on it 5 days out of the 7 days. You'd practice between 5 and 15 or 30 minutes a day. And then you come back and see me in another week. So don't hesitate if you have questions to hit that, light that chat session up, because that's what it's intended for. Okay, so don't hesitate. So do we have any questions about anything so far? Should we take a moment to review any of that stuff? Okay, so we're going to move on. And we're starting with the count now. We're going through the formal arrangement of the introduction. Something like that. So that's pretty cool. We start with 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, so the very top of the song, we start with a 1-note rest. So 1, 2, and we're strumming downstroke through the D chord. 1, 2, and then we come upstroke through the B. So far we have 1, and beat 1 is a rest. Beat number 2 is a downstroke, an 8th note. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Anytime we say and, we're going to perform an upstroke, okay? Anytime we say, a whole number, we'll perform a downstroke for this song. 1, so here's the first beat, which is a rest. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and the second measure is 2 D notes, followed by a really big string skip. We're leaping over 2 strings over here, right over the D and G, the G and B strings. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, so we have this really wide range for the right hand to become familiar with. So we're skipping strings all over the place. So that second measure is the first real challenge that we'll have in this song. But we can overcome that. It's all starting with the open D string. Once again, we're going over the second measure one more time. Starting with the open D, down, up, down, skipping up to the high E string on fret 2. Down, up, down. That's the first spatial arrangement to become familiar with, is that leap from the D string to the high E string. Down, up, down. Okay? Down, up, down, up. After you get there to fret number 2, we can grab we can come off of that fret number 2 to the open high E string. Down, up, down, up. Then we go back to the downstroke on the D. Then we come up on the B string on fret number 3. Then we do the same thing, go back to the D string with a downstroke, and then up on the B. So the entire second measure should look like this. Oop. So what happens if we don't get our third finger out of the way in time? We have that click, right? So sometimes that third finger doesn't want to move. We just have to consciously slow it down and just sort of coach it up, you know. So we have 1, so that was close. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and that open B string is actually anticipating the arrival at the G chord. And we're doing a very similar thing that we did with the D chord for this G5 and then the G add 6, okay? So the chords are sort of pretty stationary, but the right hand is really doing all the work. So we'll start with a 3rd finger on the B string, and that is really kind of dancing around, performing the melody on top of that chord, okay? So the 2nd finger stays very still. Yep. So we have a down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, so it's a lot of right hand programming here. I think I have a message incoming. Okay, I may not. No. Maybe we have a doodler on our hands. How's everybody feeling about that G5, measure 3? We can go on to measure 4 now. Measure 4 consists of A7, A7, A sus4, A9, and that kind of stuff. We're going to run a little bit over tonight. So measure 4 is a lot of right hand work, but let's keep it organized with down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, okay? So down is, we're going through the entire A7 chord, open, 2, 2, right? Okay, we've got that, downstroke, and then the and of beat number 1, we have down, and, 2, and, we'll add that 4th finger, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Yeah, it's a pretty solid tune, and it's so worth learning because you can really get a really solid idea of the range of the guitar, like the string range, by studying songs like this. So we've got that nice from the beginning: 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And oop. There it is. So we have that nice A7 melody dancing around here. Then we head back to the beginning. It's basically measure 5, but it's pretty much the song recapitulating itself. Well, until we get to measure 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Measure 7 is the G major 7 chord for the first time. Okay, so that G major 7 starts with the right hand and then the upstroke on the major 7 of the chord. So we jump all the way to the top of the guitar, fret number 2. Okay, and we land on the A7 chord. So it's a pretty tight tune. Okay, so it's D, basically G and A, and lots of melody, lots of melodic work over the top of the song, and I wish you well. We're going to review this for just a brief moment. I'm going to ask again that you give us a little less this week, a little like, subscribe, share, or like, share, subscribe. It really does help us out, and I noticed that we do have things ticking on the up, on the upscale, so that makes it exciting for us, and that makes us want to do some other songs. So if you have requests, we do take requests, and we do monitor the channel on a very regular basis. So if you have questions, I mean, we've done requests for others before, all over the world. So if you do happen to pop on this channel, give us a little like, share, subscribe, and you want to see something specifically designed for you, don't hesitate. We love to do that kind of thing. All right. So we're reviewing today the introduction of Here Comes the Sun, George Harrison tune, recorded by the Beatles, and we have that really nice D chord preceded by a quarter note rest. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and... Okay, the song gets really fun after that. Don't be afraid to comment too. Okay, you know, I was afraid one time, and then I commented my first comment, and then I realized I was still alive after I provided a comment, and it felt so good to comment, and I encourage you too to comment. Okay, so without further ado, I guess we'll wrap it up for tonight unless we have any other questions. I guess we're good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the song out, and then we'll see you next week. Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so as I play, I'll just sort of, the live stream will stop magically, and we'll see you next time, next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe.